Okay. So I found a better way to do the double exposure thing. It's a little bit time consuming, but it's, I think, much easier than the other two videos I've shown you. So I'd prefer that you try this way. I think a lot of you will be happier. All right, starts off the same. We've got our face picture. This is me. I'm painting a picture based on this, so just ignore my goofy face. And then my background, right? Starts off the same. Control A, Control C, go to the face, Control V, right? There they are on top of each other. At this point, do Control T, and you want to shrink it down a little bit. We can go in and adjust specifically where everything is in a few minutes, but I'm going to kind of leave it like this. Basically, you want it still so it fits all the way over your original box from your portrait. Hit Enter. And there they are. At this point, we're going to make copies of each of these. Making a copy is basically kind of like reaching a checkpoint in a video game, right? In case you die or totally mess up, we can go back to that point. So what I'm going to do is make my originals, the background and layer 1, invisible, and I'm going to move these two together so they're friends up here. I'm also going to make sure that the face is in front of the background because this is the next step that we need to do. So now at this point, what I'm going to do is the part that is a little bit more time consuming. I'm going to go over here to the magnetic lasso, make sure the magnet's on there. If you right click, you'll have your choices. And I'm going to trace the head. Now, it can get really crazy if the hair is all bizarre or if there's like writing on your shirt and stuff like that. You really want to have patience for this. What the magnetic lasso does is it kind of grabs to the major shapes in your image. And you can see as I click, an anchor point will form. It's a that little square. And if you take your time, it's really not that bad. Sometimes with the mouse, it will do a little bit of craziness like this. You do not have to start over. If you tap the delete button and kind of work your way backward, you can get back to the starting point. Try really hard while you're doing this to only click once. When you anchor point, you're going to see what happens when I get to the end. Also, you're going to take your time and do a super beautiful job at this because you want an A. And I'm rushing a little bit because I want to get things moving here. So going around the clothes, going around everything. You can see here I left a little bit of white space like on the shoulder. I did that on purpose. I'm going to show you why in a little bit. But you should not try to do that on purpose. And when we get to the bottom, you can see I'm clicking like way outside my picture box. This is just to ensure that I get all the information that I can. Okay, now, while you're doing this, with the new virtual desktop thing, there is a little bit of a lag on your computers, and this part is really important. You can see that little circle that appeared. It's away, and now it's appeared by my cursor. This means I reached the starting point of my lasso. This is where I'm going to connect it. I'm going to click one time, and then all the lines are dancing. This is what you want. If you rush it and you click twice, all of these lines go away and you have to start over again. So please take your time, click one time, give it a heartbeat, and then it will start to dance. If you rush, you're going to lose all your work. All right, so right now I am selected. If I go to select inverse, now the background is selected, and I'm going to hit delete. My background's gone, all the trees, right? Now this is not exactly what we wanted, but I want to stop here for a second. While I'm on this layer, if I bring my opacity down, I'll be able to see exactly what parts of the background are on my face. So now would be a good time if you do a Control D, those lines will go away. And if I click this layer and make sure I have the arrow selected, I can pull it around and adjust it. Let's say I really want this tree on my face instead. You know, I could do it that way, right? So then what we need to do is stay on this layer. You can still at this point also do the Control T, shrink it, make it bigger, whatever you need. But let's say now I found the space I want it to be. I want that selection that I made back because I also need to delete the background on that piece. So I go to Select, Reselect, and everything I did is already there. You don't have to do it twice. It's amazing. Hit Delete. That background is now also gone. So this is pretty good, except I'm going to do Control D to get rid of my lines again. There's a checkerboard background. We want a white background. So before I put in the white background, again, we reached a checkpoint. We want to save this work. So we're going to make a copy of each one. And you can make the first two invisible again. So invisible, invisible. Make sure these two guys are next to each other. Okay, so now I'm going to add a blank layer, a white layer. I click this. I want him to be below the two that I'm working with, so he's right there. Then I'm going to paint him white. So I get the paint bucket. Right now my white box is in front. If your white box is not in front, just hit these squiggly arrows and they switch it for you. You want the white one in front. Paint it, and now it's white. And it works, and this looks really nice. And at this point, if you want, you can still go in. You can't really move this one anymore. You kind of want to make those movements before. But what you can do is get really artsy-fartsy now and make things sort of opaque, very opaque. We saw some where the body is let's say the face is almost completely solid. But let's say we want my hair or my sweatshirt to be like the one below. What I would do then is get the eraser tool. And this controls how much I erase. If I erase 100%, that means all of it's gone, right? But sometimes that can look a little harsh. So what I might want to do then is bring my opacity down a little bit, like 50-ish%. And erase, and it looks much softer, right? The very whimsical. You can do this in the face if you want to. You can do this in the hair if you want to. You can do this wherever you want. And we can even go into that white space and nothing's going to happen because that layer is white now. So let's just say I'm wearing a tree hoodie, which is like weird, but it's an example, so whatever. And again, I'm going to go really, really slow and careful when I go by the face because then that's going to happen and that's not cute. What you can do if you want is if you do Control plus, it'll zoom you in so you can get really, really close to the face and erase everything you need to, right? And if you ever make a mistake, you can just do Edit Step Back, no big deal. So let me just finish this up. Pretend I do a great job, great job, great job, great job. Yay, wonderful. Okay. There. All right, so let's just pretend this is looking awesome and I'm great. But let's also say that I did notice maybe in here I did not really do the best tracing job with the magnetic lasso. What you can do at this point is get the eraser and oh, no, hold on. Boop. Hold on. Step backward, step backward. Okay. What you can do now is, oh, we have to merge a layer. Sorry, I totally had a brain fart. Let me just put this back in here because now it's nice. Okay, good. Okay, so let's say I want to go in and erase. You saw that it isn't going to work, right? I'm just erasing more of my face, and that's not what I want. What you need to do is merge these two together. When you merge them, there is no unmerging, which is why we made these copies. So I'm going to hold Shift and click on both. Right-click, and you merge the layers. We've decided this is exactly how we want the layout to be. We're merging them to be one, right? Now, if I go in with my eraser, it's a white eraser, as you can see. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer and maybe move my face over here. Like, let's say I didn't want that little bit of hair there. I get my eraser tool. You can mess with the size and the hardness up here. The size is pretty obvious. The circle will get bigger or smaller. The hardness, 100% hardness means if I do that, I'm going to get a really hard circle, which sometimes is not what you want because it doesn't make for a very natural edge. If you do no hardness, you get kind of like a glowy orb, which can be nice, but it also can be difficult to control. So sometimes I like to hang out like a little bit in the middle, brush size a little bit small, and then you can kind of tap your way around there and erase. Something else you can do if you're like really crafty is get out that magnetic lasso again and kind of like, let's say you're going to draw yourself that shape and you want everything within this to be gone. You get your eraser and erase, 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 erase. Oh, I forgot because my opacity is low. If my opacity were higher, it would happen very quickly. Control D, and it's cleaned up. So, yeah. It's a little bit long if you, ooh, I moved my whole picture. It's a little bit of a longer process, but it is a much more efficient one, and you're going to get some really cool results. And last thing, if you're getting weird stuff like this on the side, you just crop it to make it fit the way you want. And that's how you do the double exposure with the white background that's really, really clean. And from here, you can really do a million different things. Play with this. What if earlier in the beginning you left the trees in the background and kind of messed with it that way? You know, this is just a simplified version of what we've been doing, and I think it might be a little bit easier to follow than some of the other videos. Okay, get working and let me know if you have questions.